if you stand in one place in nature, you can probably find about 50 herbs that are beneficial to you just without even moving. So we're going to basically be in this little area, which is just right there and back. And we're going to talk about some of the things that you may or may not know about, but definitely they're a benefit to you and they're happening now. And if you have the ability to go out in your front yard or in the park or somewhere, obviously not too far from your home, you're going to find this beautiful medicine, not only just as beautiful for us, but it's beautiful just to look at. And you have right here, we have red clover. This is wild red clover. And I think the most amazing part of all these wild plants, there's an animal and there, a bird, I think, too, is that no, only the angels took care of this. Nobody, no human came and gave it water or weeded it or did anything. It grew on its own because it has that desire to be here in this world, to share its beauty, its medicine, and its happiness, because you can see every flower here is in complete joy. Complete. Yeah, and look how pretty they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just one of them. I'll take a specimen here. This one looks good. And I'm going to put it on a piece of paper. This was Jen's idea so that you can see what it really looks like close up. And if you see it in the wild, then you know that that's what it is. It also has a cousin, which is called white clover, and they're very close together, but this is what's growing here, the red clover. And the red clover has a lot of benefits for us. Number one, as women, because I guess that's who's watching, it balances estrogen. It's known as an estrogen balancer, and by doing that, it is good for both women who are menstruating and women who are going through menopause or in menopause, maybe even for little girls as well. It's just a beautiful, beneficial herb. Very, very, very gentle. You can never drink too much red clover tea, so you don't have to worry. But you don't need much either. Like all the things about wild plants is that they are on their highest level. Like I think of it when I go into the nature and I see these herbs, I think, wow, this is what Sarah Imenu and Rivka Imenu and Rachel Imenu, Leah Imenu, they picked these herbs and used them, and they looked exactly like they are now. They never changed. Nobody genetically engineered them. Nobody hybridized them. This is generation after generation of true flowers. So what does it do for us? Besides the balancing of the estrogen, it also has tremendous amounts, not tremendous, a lot of vitamin C. So vitamin C is an important nutrient. Personally, I believe the best way to get vitamin C is actually in the plants that comes from, and this is one of them. So, making a tea with it, that's what I personally do with it. I make a tea with it. I take about, and when it's fresh like this, I take about a third of a cup and just pour boiling water over it. Let it cover it, let it sit for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want, and then drink it. It's an incredible blood cleanser. That's what it's really known for, is blood cleansing. It also protects our circulation system because it's a blood cleanser. It strengthens your bones. Yes, so you will become stronger so you can take longer walks into nature because your legs and your bones are stronger. Okay, it's contains chromium, magnesium, and I think niacin. Is that right? Yes, niacin. And these are very important minerals and trace minerals, which a lot of them we are missing in our normal food. That's why it's important to have some relationship with the nature, because these have minerals and nutrients that we can't find even in the best organically grown food because they are not wild. Like wild things are wild. That's the thing. Okay, what else does it do? It protects the immune system, like, which is a really important thing right now, since the reason why we're in our houses is because we have to protect our immune system from possible diseases that are out there. So strengthening your immune system will give you confidence to know that you're probably going to make it through fine. Okay. Yes. Okay. What else it does? Oh, it has a very positive effect. In other words, a healing effect on for men who are not here. That may be one of them. It has a wonderful effect on the prostate gland, and it is extremely useful for anybody as a part of their healing program if they have hospital and breast cancer. So that's the red clover. So what I usually do is, the other thing about it is you want to respect nature. Like, these things did grow with the help of the angels and no human being. And therefore, we have to give them some respect for the effort that it must have taken to live through the hot summer, to get all that hard rain and everything, and yet bloom in the spring. It's a very good lesson for us, anyway. But when you do harvest anything from nature, make sure you do not clear cut this. This is something that you very respectfully take a little bit. If you want to buy red clover tea, that's grown in, I'm sure, a beautiful organic place, that's great. But to take from nature, just take a little. Take enough. The medicine's going to be powerful. It's a spring blood cleanser. Take it in its time, and then let it go to seed so that it'll be here for all the generations that follow. Really important. Anyway, the other thing about the harvesting of any herbs is that you're not here, I don't believe, you're not here to be a taker. You're here to have a relationship with the medicine that Hashem actually gave us. And so I personally believe that if we're going to take something from nature, that we also have to give something back. And the one thing that I've understood, that plants and also animals and birds, maybe also humans too, love, is the sound of music. Just the sound. You can play a song if you want, you can sing, you can whatever. You can definitely bless these plants. I personally bless you, all of you who are here, that you will live healthy and strong. Give us your beauty and any other gifts you have, and keep nature the way Hashem intended it. Okay. So what I'm going to do, hello? Shalom. Oh, a traveler. Manishma. So this is the sound that, as far as we know, perhaps it's something that is heard in heaven. So that is a gift, my own gift to these plants, and that they hopefully will be blessed by it, since they don't need anything from me. It's the only blessing I can really give them, and to be respectful of them. And when I use them, also to really, when you say a blessing over the tea or the herbs or the soup or whatever you make, that you should also remember what you see here. Remember these plants, that they of their gift to us. Okay, we're going to move on to another herb, not very far away. Actually, I'm just going to stand up because it's right here. Okay, and bye. Shalom. Chodesh Tov. Okay. So just, I take about 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here I am in a little stand of wild chamomile. See the wild chamomile? Now, I don't know how that's going to look on a white piece of paper. Not so good. So I'm just going to maybe pick one and hold it up a little bit. Oh, you can get close to it. So maybe you hold it. That's what it looks like. It looks like a daisy, like a little daisy. Now, as far as, there's probably a few different kinds of chamomile, but the two that I know are the German chamomile, which is obviously European, and a lot of the chamomile that grows in North America and grows here, especially here, it's not German chamomile. It's another kind of chamomile. And actually, it's not that gentle, kind of sweet chamomile that we buy in the health food store. It's kind of very strong and a little bit bitter. And so you can take one flower and put it in a cup of water and maybe mix it with other chamomile. But it's very, very powerful medicine. And the chamomile is it's so gentle. It's good for babies. Oh, I did, yeah, for babies. So what I do is I take a few of them, as you can see here, and I dry them and I keep them in a jar. And like all winter, if I feel, first of all, what's it good for? It helps you sleep. That's one thing. And it's very calming. It's excellent for the digestion. It just helps your mood, helps you feel happy. It really does. You can look at it. It looks like a little sun, like smiling at you. So that's the wild chamomile. Okay. And then we're going to go over to my real powerful friend here, which is this tree. This tree here is called a hawthorn tree. Yeah. And I'm going to get my basket and maybe. So this is, look at the size of this tree. This tree is really old. Um, I don't know how old, but it's just done this alone. No mulching, no compost, no water extra from people, nothing. Just the sun and the sky, whatever Hashem provides, the nutrients from all these plants, and living in peace and quiet. That's probably the best thing. So what I do is I just take a few of the blossoms with a little bit of the twig. Now, at a different time of year, there are also berries, what they call berries. They're kind of like weird little, I don't know, jujube looking things. And they're very hard. At the end of the summer, they're very, very hard, but they also have medicine. So the best medicine is a mixture of the leaves, and check out the leaves because they're very unique. You don't see leaves like this on, at least I've never seen on any other tree. So that's how you can recognize it when it isn't blooming. Now the thing about so you want the flowers, the leaves, hopefully later on some of the fruits and the twigs. So it's a combination package here. And you need like little clippers in order to do this because this is actually a tree. Okay, what is it good for? It's amazing. It's the best heart medicine that exists. As far as I know, in a natural way, it's one of the best. Anyway, I don't want to say the very best for singles, but it's one of the very best for the heart. Yeah, anybody who has any problem with their heart or just wants to strengthen your heart, if you're an athlete, if you ever had, palpitations or anything like that, this is your medicine. The truth with this is the best time to take it, if you're really going to get the most out of it, is in the summertime. It's between 12 noon and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I would say drink 2 cups, not three. Two is enough. But you have to cook it. This is not one of those where you pour hot water over it. You actually have to brew it. And I would say you brew it maybe 45 minutes. So it's a good idea if you are really serious about using it to make a big pot and then drink it cold or warm it up or whatever you want to do the week, and make it weekly. If you don't really have a heart problem but you just want to strengthen your heart, then it's a good idea to take it maybe 3 times a week, something like that, or even once a week, or once in your life something, but you really just, you know, take advantage of it. It's a wonderful thing. It also strengthens the immune system, helps with your skin. So you could actually put it like in olive oil or coconut oil, the flowers, and make a kind of, oil infusion of it, which you can use to put on your skin or your baby or your, part of a cream if you make or something like that. That's what it's really, really excellent for. Um, because it's good for the heart, it also helps the circulation system. It's been found to be very helpful in hypertension. What else does it do? Ooh, it's snowing. See, we get snow in the summer. Anyway, it's very, very beneficial herb. It boosts your immune system and it really helps your digestive system. So anybody who has problems with the digestion, this is also an excellent tea to drink before you eat lunch. That's the time. That's the best time. And now the funny thing is that when you smell it, like when it's fresh like this and you smell it on the tree, it doesn't really smell good. It has a kind of strange of its own smell. I guess a medicinal smell. But once you dry it, like I take it home and I put it in the dehydrator, or you can leave it in a basket and let it dry. It smells beautiful. So I have no idea how this works, but that's this. Now, the other thing that I find interesting in Hebrew, the word for this plant, this tree, is called uzrad. Israelis would know that. Um, but in English, it's called hawthorn. Now, in Chinese medicine, they have a system, a movement system called Qigong. And Qigong is kind of the accompaniment to the acupuncture chart. And the people who were able to, I guess, see acupuncture were also able to see how the movement of energy moves around your body. And they saw that if you go like this, it's going to do something. If you go like that, if you're going to like this, it's all going to open or close certain meridians in your body. So it's a very special movement system. And if anybody is interested in learning a movement system that is medicinal, I mean, yoga is also really medicinal, of course, from India. This one is from China. Anyway, so the why I'm getting to that is because with the movement in Qigong comes a sound, comes a movement, a sound, color, a few things. But the sound that releases and strengthens your heart is called ha. In other words, I'm going to show you the actual exercise. Very simple. All you do is you put your hands like this, you raise them up above your head, you lean to the right to open up your heart area like that. And you imagine like taking in everything positive you can think. After all, the heart is love. And then you go like this, ha, and you make that sound. So it's like this to the right, ha, and again, up to the right, ha. And that's that haw, which is actually a sound that most people make like after they come home after a hard day and they like collapse in the chair and they go haw like that. And it really helps your heart, which just went through a whole sipur during the day. Okay, so that's what I find very amazing. And if anybody does want to do that exercise, they recommend you do it in groups of 3. Like if you have a problem with your heart, you would want to do it more than 3 times, maybe 18 times or something like that. If you don't really have a problem with your heart, but you want it to stay in good condition, then you would do it 3 times in a daily routine, something like that. Okay, so right below here is another beautiful plant. In Hebrew, I think they call it lotan, but in English, it's called rock rose. Okay, I'm going to get my other. Okay, so one of the issues that medical personnel and other people just personally are finding is that this is a time of a lot of anxiety. People just don't know what the future is going to hold. It's a real testing of all of us, and people sometimes get anxious. Sometimes we're worried. We don't know what's going on. So one of the things that I use with people I work with is the Bach flower, are the Bach flower remedies. And the Bach flower remedy is, if you know much about it, I think I spoke about it in the last Rosh Chodesh I did, so I'm not going to get into that. But that was already made. That is something that was made in England by the Bach people who are very dedicated to their teacher. But it's not that difficult to make it yourself. And this particular flower here, this flower is the one that Bach said is for the most extreme stress and trauma. So it's a very, very gentle and delicate flower. Like if you touch it, it's like tissue paper. It's so fine. There's also a white version. This is the pink one, and very, very simple. So what I'm going to show you, although we're not going to make the whole thing, but I'll show you the beginning of how you do it. Number one, you take water from a spring. Has to be from a spring, not from your filter, not from your tap. And I went yesterday and collected it from a spring that's very close to here. And then you need a clean glass bowl, and you pour some water in the bowl like that. Actually, you would fill it all the way up, but I'm not going to do that. Here, maybe I'll put it here. Can you see that? I don't know if you can. I just want to put the top on. And then the whole point is that you take the flowers without touching them by your hand. So you need something like a clipper like this, and you just put them, oops, actually it's supposed to go the other way. Of course, right in the middle of my demonstration. All right, so I'm gonna leave that on the ground and start again. This way you get practice to see how to do it. Okay, so here, yeah, you hold it. Okay, so then we pour a little bit of the spring water in there. Okay. And this time I hope that I get it. Okay. Oh, yes, good. Okay, so what you would want to do, I just really, obviously I picked one, but really you would fill up the bowl, and it would be a bigger bowl. This is just for demonstration. And then you have to leave it in a complete, like today is not the day to even do this. If you're really going to be serious about it, it has to be a completely cloudless day. And you want to leave it in a place for minimum of 3 hours, 3 to 6 hours. And you just leave it just the way it is. Don't touch it. Don't do anything to it. Just let the sun kind of sunlight on it. And what it does is the energy of the flower will go into the water, and then the water becomes what they call the mother tincture. It's a whole process. You can probably look it up online, but it's a very easy thing to do. It's one of the most simple things to do. You just have to know the rules. One is you never touch the flower, and two, that the water has to be from a spring, a running spring, and three, that it's a completely clear glass bowl. And then after that, you can even use it straight. You can also take it and put it in other, for other people and things like that. But mainly, you take a few drops, like 4 drops, 5 drops, and you put them in your water bottle. Or if somebody is really, really stressed out, you put it in a cup, and you pour that water in the cup, or you put a few drops in their water. And it really, really helps them to process it, because they asked Dr. Bach, what does this do? And he said, what it does is it strengthens the soul. No matter what in life, you have to do things, you have to go through things, but if you have the strength to do it, then you're going to make it through. And that's all that's required of us at this point, is make it through. The Mashiach is coming. Good times are definitely close. We might have to go through a rocky period, but if we have strength in ourselves, connection with Hashem, love to each other, and a little bit of knowledge as to how to live in this world that Hashem made, then I believe we're going to be fine. So, do we have much more time? No, is that it? Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
If you have questions, you have to unmute yourself.
I can't hear anything.
What was the name
I
of this?
can't hear it.
Oh, can you hear? What was the name of this flower?
What?
It's a rock rose. It's a rock.
Oh, I can't hear. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't hear anything. So it's just going to be, but there's one more thing I want to show you. And then, I think that's probably, I hope you remember it, but it's a very important thing because the next thing I'm going to show you is how to identify things that are lookalikes, that are good medicine, sometimes right next to a plant that is poison. And this is really, really important because you want to know, as much as you want to know the good things, it's really important to know the not so good things. So we're going to just walk over there. Okay, so this may not be a good specimen. Where? Oh, there. There was one. It has channel right next to it. Maybe over here. Right here is fennel. You probably know of fennel as a root that sometimes goes in good soup and things like that. Here, it smells. It smells like fennel or anise. It looks like a little ferret, like a tree kind of thing. And the other way you can tell is the old ones grow up on this. See how they grow up? Okay, now the one that, so yeah, take a close-up of the actual plants because what you see looks very similar to another one that even the goats won't eat. But the way you can tell the difference is that by the smell, like you crush it a little bit and then you smell it and it smells exactly like fennel or anise, that kind of smell. Now over here, I don't know if you can see over here. Oh, there's one that fell down. I guess somebody stepped on it. I can hold it up. Okay, you see this plant? Look at the leaves. They look very similar, right? See? I mean, maybe another month earlier, they would have looked almost exactly the same. The difference is that the leaves here are kind of more coarse, thicker, and they have no smell. And they also come up with these. Now, this is not indicative because this is going to look like fennel when it finally dries. The seeds, which are the real seeds of the fennel, are great for your eyes. They're good, also, again, a hormone balancer, good for menopause, good for menstruation, good for balancing your period. Fennel is really good, like to help mothers bring on good milk. Not this. This is not good. So maybe focus back on the good one, but I want you to see the difference. Okay, I'll hold it back up again. That this one is close, and you see how close in proximity they are to each other. They actually live near each other. So it would not be a big leap for somebody who doesn't know to pick the wrong herb. And that's what you don't want to do. So I really want you to know that. Anyway, I guess, because I can't hear any questions, I guess it's really good to visit with you. I hope this went okay. And I hope you learned things that maybe you didn't know. And that by the time we meet again, we'll all be stronger, healthier, more happy, more full of joy. Everybody should be filled with their parnasa. And Hashem should pour his blessings down on this beautiful earth that he's given us, this land of Israel.
Shoshanna, I hope you do this more. I would love you to do it again.
do it again. Okay, we'll think about doing it again, maybe next month or another time.
I would love that.
Okay. Anyway, I hope you learned a few things.
Wow, thanks, Shoshana. That was amazing. Thank you, Pesach, for being the sound, camera, and
Thank you.
man. Amazing.
Amazing. The
Truly
producer.
amazing.